heritage, our tradition, our future. Today, we become.
In this episode of Premier Interschools, we look ahead to the biggest schools derby in the world, Paarl Boys High versus Paarl Gimnasium, live on SuperSport. The 10th match of the 2018 Premier Interschools season is the big one. In Paarl, they call it Interschools, as if there is no other, and in terms of schools rugby, there really isn't. Even though the earliest records show the rivalry having been contested since 1915, in the early games, the schoolmasters also played. As a purely schoolboy encounter, Interschools has been played since 1929, with several interruptions due to the World Wars and other factors. 2018 marks the 90th occasion of Interschools, with Gim having won 44, Boys High 36, and 9 drawn matches. This is the biggest schools rugby derby in the world, and it's right here on Premier Interschools. The two schools may be in the same town, virtually in the same street, but come Interschools, all previous games are forgotten, as the entire town becomes divided in anticipation of what both schools view as their most important game of the year. You're either a Boys Higher in the south, with the blue, white and blue, or a Gimmie in the north, with the green, yellow and maroon. You even need to choose what colour donuts to buy in Paarl at this time of the year. The Paarl schools are among the oldest in the country, with Gim having been founded in 1858 and Paarl Boys just a decade later in 1868. So how did it become the biggest schools rugby game in the world?
It's a very tough question to answer. I don't think anybody really knows. I think the different old boys unions have a big role to play there, because in Paarl Boys High's case, for instance, the old boys get together on the Friday night before. They have their own big brag. They come from all over. And obviously these old boys go into different parts of the world and they spread the news and the good message. And I think that's probably one of the main reasons why it's evolved to where it is.
Die groot ding dink ek is, daar's twee goed wat maak. Die een sou ek sê is passie en 'n liefde vir hulle skool, en dis 'n plek waar almal behoort. En die ander ding wat ek ook dink wat 'n groot faktor is, daar word nie vir 'n beker gespeel nie. Jy speel vir die wapen op jou bors. En dit maak 'n groot verskil.
Dis omtrent 2 weke waar die hele dorp tot stilstand kom. Soos ek gesê het, baie mense vlieg in, oud studente, oud ouers van uit die buiteland uit, mense kom van die res van die land. Ek dink dis 'n groot ekonomiese inspuiting vir die Paarl.
So die hele week is daar aksies, daar is reunies, daar is funksies, daar is wedstryde wat plaasvind, die old boys en old girls speel teen mekaar. So dis 'n hele fees wil ek amper sê.
Both schools have a proud history of rugby alumni. Paarl Gim has provided Springboks like Boy de Villiers, Jan Pickard, Skalkberger Senior, Kobus Burger, Kobus Visser, Barley Swart, Peter Rousseau, David Barry and Marius Joubert, Jean de Villiers, Skalkberger Jr., Louis Schroeder and Andre Pollard.
For me, luckily, a lot of good memories. I was able to win grade 11 and 12. But it's just the camaraderie. I think it's staying in the hostel for 5 years with those mates, sharing a room, doing literally everything together for 5 years, and then playing together for your school and interschools. I mean, it's something you can't get out of school. We play professionally and we spend a lot of time together, but it's not the same. It's really an amazing brotherhood that you form. It's an amazing feeling. It's awesome to play on Forest Street in town. It's a bigger venue, it's more people, it creates a better vibe, and it's really cool. The town gets divided in two, literally, for those 3 weeks leading up, and it's just an amazing feeling and an experience.
Boys High Springboks include brothers Boy and Fani Low, Manikis Roux, Karel Du Plessis, Corne Krieger, the late Willem Besson, Frans Marherbe, Gertrude Steenkamp and Thomas de Toy.
In my opinion, it's simple. I think they must go out and enjoy every moment. You know, once you're done, once you finish with school, once you leave matric, you never will be able to go back and play another interschools. It will be forever done. You know, it doesn't matter how good you are in rugby or if you're going to go on to be a professional rugby player, you will never play interschools again. And, you know, embrace the opportunity, embrace the day, make the most of it, and really enjoy it. Take it in. And yeah, cherish it for the rest of your life and your heart.
For both the coaches, a major challenge will be preparing the boys to handle the pressure of playing at Forest Street Stadium in Paarl, in front of a crowd of almost 25,000 spectators.
Wat almal weet, dit is die belangrikste wedstryd van die jaar. Elke seun wat in graad 8 hier inkom wil daai wedstryd speel. So hulle sien eintlik 5 jaar uit na daai wedstryd. Die belangrikste ek dink is om dit eintlik soos enige ander wedstryd te sien. Die wedstryd is groot en daar's baie druk op die spelers. Ek dink die belangrikste is maar om ons kalm te hou en op die moment te fokus.
It really is a special game. It is something that we look forward to. It is the main game or the main fixture on the calendar, especially for the boys and for the old boys and for the whole community. Yeah, it's something that we need to work more and more on, and we've been very blessed in the sense we've had Tim good enough to work with our boys when it comes to mental toughness. It's definitely an aspect of the game that's been ignored on lots of fronts. So we've spent a lot of time talking about what they always say, the big white elephant in the room, you know, the pressure and how we're going to deal with it and what could happen and what couldn't happen. So I feel the boys are in a good space.
These boys have been exposed to that from their under 15 years. So under 15A, under 16A, under 19B, then under 19A, they tend to appreciate the experience. And so on that specific day, yes, it's intimidating, I think more for the ref than the boys. So they do get used to it in the course of their school careers.
We asked the boys how they feel now that Interschools is finally upon them.
Okay, boys, is 'n baie goeie span. Enigiets kan gebeur op 4 Augustus, so kom kyk self.
Ons het baie seisoen tot dusver gehad en ons glo dat ons vir boys kan aanvat, maar Interschools is maar snaakse besigheid. Jy weet nooit wat op die dag gaan gebeur nie.
Ons het vir die jare baie goeie seisoen sover en boys het ook vir jare baie goeie span. So ek glo Interschools is enigiets moontlik, so dit gaan 'n baie goeie wedstryd wees.
Yeah, so Gim has a very good team this year. But one thing I also find unique about Interschools is that on the day it's always a different game.
Boys we call ourselves the Galpiller, and we believe that no matter what comes, we always stand together and play for each other.
No matter what the stats are, whose season looks the best, Interschools is totally something different, and that's what makes it special for me, and I think for the whole of Paarl as well.
Taking a look at Paarl boys' performance in 2018, their 3-year unbeaten record was finally ended by a strong Jaguares under-18 team from Argentina. And later in the season, they suffered defeats to their old foes Grey College and Paarl Roos, and more recently against Oakdale Landbou.
Obviously, I have a lot of confidence in my team. I back my team all the way and I believe that we can do it. But I do not want to predict anything that is going to happen, but what I will say is that I have a lot of belief in my team and that it's going to be a very nice day. I'm looking forward to it.
Paarl Gim, based on their season, appear to be the favourites going into the Interschools derby, with only one loss in 2018 against an unbeatable Paarl Roos. and wins against tough opposition like the Jaguares, Affies, Monnes and Oakdale.
Ek dink die spelers is baie selfvertroue op die oomblik. Ons het 'n goeie jaar agter die rug. Ons het 'n paar wedstryde, naskraapse wedstryde gewen. Weet aan die einde wat eintlik ook baie goed is vir selfvertroue. So al die spelers sien baie uit na die wedstryd en dis vol selfvertroue dat hulle dit kan deurtrek.
Dit is enige skoolkind se droom om voor hulle skool te speel en voor 25,000 mense is regtig 'n groot voorreg. So ek dink ons gaan maar net op die proses fokus en net dit geniet.
Last year's game was a nail-biter, with Boys High winning by only 5 points. But the match could easily have gone the other way.
Verlede jaar het ons net verloor. Wat ek daar onthou is veral op die einde, waar ons met 'n ongelooflike goeie dryf begin het op die halflyn. Of naby die halflyn en op die doel en basies geëindig het, strafskop gekry het.
The penalty comes and no doubt Gim to go for the line. They need the try to win this encounter.
Paarl Gim got a penalty, they kicked it out, and a line out was to follow. And up to that point, Paarl Gim had pretty much been kicking our backsides with the drives from the line out. So we were all in despair and we thought that they would just catch the ball, do one of their very well concerted drives and score. And unfortunately for the young Paarl Gim lock, he missed the ball. The ball was picked up by the reserve scrum half, having just come onto the field, JG De Bruin, and he just turned around and kicked the ball off the park.
Toe blaas die eindvletjie. Maar die groot ding vir ons gaan oor die karakter wat die seuns wys en die wyse waarop hulle optree en hoe hulle die omstandighede wat voor hulle is, hoe hulle dit hanteer. Dis eintlik waaroor dit gaan.
Looking back at the encounter over the last 8 years, there was a draw in 2010, but over the last 3 years, it has been the boys in blue and white who have won successive matches. This year, however, it is Gim who start as favourites, and it'll be up to Boys High to see if they can defend their title at Forest Street. Come Saturday, 4 August, all eyes will be on Paarl as the two schools converge at Forest Street Stadium for the biggest schools rugby match on the planet.
Today, we stand for all that is. For our heritage, our tradition, our future. Today, we become.
Watch Paarl Boys versus Paarl Gim in Premier Interschools Rugby this Saturday, live on SuperSport.